Well, that was one hell of an episode, so let's jump in and discuss what all of this means. So finally, Bran Stark is back in the fold, and we finally get to see Max von Sydow as the three-eyed Raven. However, in the books it is the three-eyed Crow, and it is heavily implied that he is an ex-member of the Night's Watch. So these visions that he's having are pretty much going to see us through to confirmation that the R plus L equals J theory is true. As we saw on the trailer for next week, the Tower of Joy is actually there. This is also possibly confirmation that the Night of the Laughing Tree theory is also true. That this is going to explain how Lyanna met Rhaegar and they both fell in love. It is suspected at the tourney of Harrenhal, a Cranach man was actually mocked after winning the tournament by Knights Squires. Now, he was actually defended by a young wolf, a she-wolf, and a wild wolf. This is very much thought to be Ned, Brandon, and Lyanna. So it's very interesting there. We'll probably see more of that soon. So we're building here that really a theory could be said that Joffrey was not evil. It was just his mother who sort of led him that way, because Tommen is now wanting to actually follow in his footsteps and be stronger, aka possibly evil. So we're going to see a big conflict next episode, I think, with Tommen and his army against the Sparrows. So we've got the leader of the Sparrows here in my next top 10 moment. A very interesting war of words with Jaime, who pretty much says that he can take him on. However, he can't, can he? Because the rest of the Sparrows surrounded him, pretty much implying that if he takes one down, the rest are going to take him down as well. And it was interesting to see him bested by someone who is really not a fighter. And my third top 10 moment here is actually Tyrion freeing the dragons, which is very interesting indeed, because some do actually believe him to have Targaryen blood himself, which would be a very big twist in the tale, and is implied that's why he is with Daenerys and was drawn to her, and also would explain why he was able to talk to the dragons so easily here without being absolutely flamed. Not online, but with real flames. Another interesting twist here is Roose Bolton being murdered by his bastard son, who is possibly one of the best evil characters on the show, in my opinion. And well, that's it really. He is now Lord Bolton. He's got what he wanted. But, well, I think that's it for him. He's probably going to run his house into the ground. Now, I'm not sure if this should be included in the top 10 moments, but it's a bit of a character development here, because he pretty much is going to go to any lengths possible to secure his strength and keep hold of power. So, God knows what he's going to do next. So we know now that Team Sansa are now completely safe and well on their way to the north to meet Sansa's technical half-brother, Lord Commander Snow, who, well, at the time we saw this scene, he was dead, but now he's not. So it was a very good aspect of the scene, I thought, of him giving this kind of dread that we know that Sansa's just not going to get away again, but she is going to hopefully get some good stuff this time for her. In what seems like an age, we have actually finally got to see the culmination of Melisandre's spell, where she tried to kill all of the other 5 kings in the War of the 5 Kings. Now, this is an interesting callback to that thing, and it shows that her magic actually worked before she rose up Jon Snow, which I think is really, really cool. In the comics, in the books, Balon Greyjoy is actually killed mysteriously, and it's implied that it is a person, but at the time we didn't know that, and it is a mysterious death, which leaves us all astray, or a Greyjoy. But we do have Euron Greyjoy here, who is making his debut and will be another pretender to the Iron Throne. If he wins the Kingsmoot, that is, of course. After the funeral, we learn about the Kingsmoot, but we don't actually find out what it is yet. Well, I'll tell you. What it is where a drowned priest calls for the ship's captains of the islands to come and decide a new king, which usually happens after someone dies or they are sick of the current king. So pretty much is left up to the mercy of a bunch of dudes. However, Euron is a pirate king and much loved and feared, so he probably will win, I think, in the show. I liked that they also went back to the Iron Islands after Theon actually said, "I'm going home," which was a very masterful piece of story writing and really was amongst a very, very good episode. And finally, Jon Snow is alive, which is very, very, very interesting. It does make sense that he is back, of course, because next week we are going to find out exactly who his parents are, to be honest. So, drop a like if you enjoyed that episode. I'll be back with more discussion later. Goodbye.